The day Eli Mercer died was like any other Thursday, quiet, forgettable. The kind of day no one would remember unless something went terribly wrong. And it did. Eli was an unassuming 34-year-old man. He lived in a small, weathered home on the outskirts of Millen Creek, a rural town best known for its fog and silence. He wasn't married yet, but he was engaged to Mira, a beautiful and complicated woman who had entered his life just 9 months earlier. She was charming, sweet, and full of secrets. That morning, Mira made him breakfast, pancakes, fruit, and black coffee, and asked him to take a hike with her. Nothing unusual. Hiking was something they did often, especially in the isolated trails near Hunter's Cliff. The trail was long, quiet, and rarely visited. They parked at the base of the trailhead around 10 a.m. The trees were still wet from the night's rain. Birds chirped high above the mist. Mira seemed unusually quiet, distracted even. Eli asked her if everything was all right, and she smiled, too quickly. "I'm just thinking about us," she said. They reached the halfway point about 45 minutes in. That's when it happened. Eli stumbled. At first, he thought he just lost his footing, but then his chest burned, then squeezed. His vision blurred. He dropped to one knee, then collapsed fully, gasping. "Eli!" Myra's voice came through the haze. "Eli, stay with me." But her face, it wasn't panic. It was too calm. She stood over him for a moment longer, then slowly pulled out her phone and made a call. By the time the paramedics arrived 30 minutes later, Mira had guided them back to where he lay motionless. No pulse, no response, no signs of life. The EMTs tried CPR, defibrillation, nothing worked. The portable heart monitor showed a flat line. Dead. Mira didn't shed a tear. She signed the papers without hesitation. So did the town doctor, Dr. Wallace, who barely gave the body a second glance. Everyone trusted him. He'd been practicing medicine since before Eli was born. The funeral was set for the next morning. No autopsy, no questions. After all, Mira said Eli had a pre-existing heart condition. The coffin was sealed quickly and buried under gray skies in Millen Creek Cemetery. A short ceremony, a few family members, a few apologies. Mira looked elegant in black, staring at the casket as if she were watching a door close. But Eli wasn't dead. Inside the coffin, everything was still. For what felt like days, there was nothing but numbness. Then pain. Then awareness. His eyes fluttered open. Total blackness. Air stale and tight. Breathing was hard. His lungs screamed. His heart pounded like a drum. He tried to sit up. Hit wood. He tried to scream. Dirt muffled the sound. His fists pounded the lid. Nails splintered. Fingers bled. He was buried alive. As panic exploded in his chest, a new terror crept in. He wasn't alone in the coffin. A whisper echoed from the darkness. "You woke up too soon. Ili forotse." His heart stilled. Another whisper, this time closer to his ear. "Don't worry. You won't be alone for long." Then something cold slid across his leg, and he realized, whatever it was, it had been in there long before him. Eli's heart slammed against his ribs. His hands searched frantically in the darkness, pressing against the wood above, the satin-lined sides, the limited space. There was no light, no room, no air, and yet there was something else. He could feel it. A presence crouched beside him, silent, watching. The whisper had felt so close, so intentional, as if it had waited for him to awaken. But how? How could anything else be inside this coffin? Had someone put it there with him? His breath came fast and shallow. He clawed at the lid until his fingers split, splinters digging deep beneath his nails. Blood warmed the satin around him. "Let me out!" He tried to scream, but it came out strangled and broken. Another whisper slid across the silence like a knife. "We've been waiting for you." Suddenly, the inside of the coffin creaked and shifted. Eli Mercer would groan beneath him, his back pressed tighter into the fabric-lined bottom. The air around him began to drop in temperature. His breath, short and fast, turned visible in the pitch black. There was a scratching now, not from him, but from beneath. At first, it sounded like insects, then claws, then nails. Something beneath the coffin was scratching upward. "They don't like it when someone tries to leave," whispered the voice. "You woke up, but you weren't supposed to. Now we all have to pay." The whispers weren't coming from one mouth anymore. They were layered. Men, women, children, all murmuring from just beneath the surface of the wood. Eli pressed his hands to his ears, but the sound was inside him. He pounded the lid again. "Please, somebody, help!" But the only thing that responded was the shifting dirt above him. And then a thud. Eli held his breath. Another thud. Closer. Heavy. Measured. Footsteps? He screamed louder, his voice shredding from his throat. "Down here. I'm alive. I'm—" The footsteps stopped. Then the whisper returned, darker now, malicious. "Too late. You were never meant to return." In a quiet house just a mile away, Mira sat in the kitchen, sipping wine. Her hands were clean, her makeup perfect. On the table beside her sat Eli's phone. She had gone through it that morning, deleted his location history, cleared the texts he'd sent the night before. There was a knock on the door. She opened it without hesitation. Dr. Wallace stepped in, pulling off his hat. "Was it enough time?" she asked calmly. He nodded. "The sedative I gave him would have slowed his pulse. Enough to fool the monitors. No autopsy, just like you asked." Mira smiled. "Good. He made it easy. Just dropped right there in the woods. No struggle." Wallace hesitated. What exactly did he do to deserve all this? Her smile faded. "He broke a promise. And I don't like when people lie to me." She turned away, glass in hand. Back in the coffin, Eli was slipping. The lack of oxygen was starting to turn his thoughts to fog. But that's when something changed. The whispers stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, a faint light. Eli blinked. It wasn't possible. But just ahead of him, the coffin wall seemed to glow, a small, pulsing blue shape. It wasn't a light bulb or fire or anything natural. It was an eye, staring at him. It blinked, then vanished. The lid above him cracked. With snap, dirt cascaded in, and then he fell. Not upward, downward. The coffin plummeted into the earth like a stone, dragging Eli with it. Gravity reversed. Dirt flew past him as if he were being sucked into another world. And when he finally landed, gasping for breath, he was no longer in a coffin. He was standing in an underground chamber. Stone walls, old lanterns flickering, dozens, no, hundreds of caskets all opened, all empty, except for the ones that whispered. Eli stood trembling in the dim chamber. The light was weak, bluish-green, coming from glowing stones embedded in the arched ceiling. Everything around him felt ancient beyond time. The air smelled of damp earth, and something far older, something dead. He took a shaky step forward. Coffins, arranged in chaotic rows, sat open like gaping mouths. Some had cracked wood, others torn fabric, and many showed signs of clawing from the inside. All were empty, except the ones that whispered. He could hear them, dozens of overlapping voices, layered like the hum of a hive. Some were faint, distant cries. Others whispered just behind his ears. Male, female, young, ancient, help us. He came back. He woke up too soon. You don't belong here. Eli turned in circles, eyes wide. Where am I? The answer came not from a voice, but a figure. A boy stepped forward from behind one of the caskets. 16, maybe younger. Pale skin. Hollow eyes sewn shut with dark thread. A crude name tag around his neck. Jonah. Eli stepped back instinctively, but the boy raised a hand, calm and slow. "You're not dead," he said softly. "Eli blinket stulnet. I know that. I've been buried alive. Someone tried to kill me." Jonah nodded. "Not someone. She." "Mira," Eli whispered, the pieces clicking together. Jonah's stitched eyes turned toward him, as if he could still see. "You're in the hollow. This is where the forgotten go. Those who were buried before their time. Some are mistakes. Others weren't." Eli's breath caught. "So you're all alive?" "Not anymore," Jonah replied. "We were. But the hollow feeds on breath, memory, and pain. It drains you until there's nothing left." Eli shook his head. "No, I'm not staying here. I have to get out. I have to expose what she did." Jonah stepped closer. "There's one way out, but it comes at a price." Eli narrowed his eyes. "What price?" The boy tilted his head.